Don't come tonight. Tonight is your brother's future-in-law's family meeting. That text appeared on my phone at exactly 5:42 p.m. I stared at it for a few seconds, wondering if I had read it wrong. Then I read it again. And again. But the words never changed. My own mother had just told me not to come to a family gathering. Not because the house was full. Not because there wasn't enough food. Not because of some emergency.
No.
She simply didn't want me there. I wish I could tell you that this was the first time my family treated me like an outsider. It wasn't. In fact, it had been happening for years. But this time felt different. This time, there was no excuse. No pretending. No hiding behind fake smiles. The message was clear. My brother mattered. I didn't. And what hurt the most? I wasn't some failure. I wasn't unemployed. I wasn't asking anyone for money. I was actually the most successful person in the family. Yet somehow, I was always the one left out. The one ignored. The one expected to help everyone while receiving nothing in return. As I sat there holding my phone, another message appeared. It was from our family group chat. My dad had posted photos of everyone preparing for the evening. My brothers smiling. My mother decorating tables. Relatives arriving. Everyone looked happy. Everyone except me. Because I wasn't invited. I quietly put my phone down. And that's when I made a decision. For the first time in my life, I would stop begging for a seat at their table. And before the year was over, they would learn exactly what they had thrown away. Years of being the invisible child. My name is Emma. I'm 32 years old. And for most of my life, I lived in the shadow of my younger brother, Ryan. Ryan was the golden child, the favorite, the prince, the center of everyone's universe. When Ryan got a B in school, my parents celebrated. When I got straight A's, they said that was simply expected. When Ryan forgot to pay bills, my parents rescued him. When I struggled, they told me to figure it out myself.
It was always like that.
Always. I remember being 16 and working part-time after school. Every paycheck went into savings. I wanted to attend college without debt. Meanwhile, Ryan spent money on video games and expensive clothes. Guess who got a new car for graduation?
Ryan.
Guess who got told to take the bus?
Me.
I never complained. At least not out loud. I kept telling myself things would change. That one day my parents would notice me, appreciate me, be proud of me. But that day never came. After college, I built my career from scratch.
No help.
No connections. No family money. I worked long hours, skipped vacations, missed parties, sacrificed everything. Eventually, I started a small consulting company. The first few years were brutal. Some months, I barely made rent. But I refused to quit. Slowly, things improved. Then improved again.
And again.
By 30, I was earning more money than anyone else in my family. Yet somehow, nothing changed. My parents still treated Ryan like the star. And treated me like a backup plan. Whenever Ryan needed money, they called me. Whenever someone needed help, they called me. Whenever bills needed paying, they called me. But whenever there was a celebration, I was forgotten. And every time it happened, I told myself not to let it bother me. Until that text message. The one that changed everything. The dinner I wasn't allowed to attend. The evening of the family meeting arrived. I stayed home. Not because I wanted to, because I was asked to. Part of me hoped my mother would call. Maybe apologize. Maybe tell me she changed her mind. But the phone never rang. Instead, social media told me everything. Photos, videos, smiles,
Laughs.
family, everyone together. Without me. Then around midnight, my cousin Sarah called. Her voice sounded nervous. Emma, I think you should know what happened tonight. My stomach tightened. What happened? There was a pause. Then she sighed.
They talked about you. My heart sank.
What do you mean? Sarah hesitated. I wasn't supposed to tell you. Tell me. Another pause. Then she said it. Ryan's future mother-in-law asked why you weren't there. I swallowed hard. And Sarah's voice grew quiet. Your mom laughed and said, Emma wouldn't fit in with these people. Silence. I couldn't breathe. What? She said you're too independent, too opinionated, too focused on business. My hands shook. Sarah continued. Then Ryan joked that you're basically married to money. The room felt smaller, hotter, heavy. And then came the worst part. Everyone laughed. I closed my eyes. For years, I had defended them, made excuses,
Protected them.
and, behind my back, they were humiliating me, entertaining strangers at my expense. That night, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't call anyone. Instead, something inside me finally broke. And when something breaks completely, it stops hurting. Because there's nothing left to damage. The phone call that changed everything. A week later, my phone rang.
Mom.
I almost ignored it. Almost. But curiosity won. Hello. Her voice sounded sweet. Too sweet. Hi, sweetheart. Sweetheart. Interesting. She hadn't called me that in years. What's up? She laughed nervously. Well, Ryan needs a little help.
Of course he did.
I leaned back. What kind of help? She cleared her throat. His wedding is expensive. I smiled. There it was. The real reason she called. Not because she missed me. Not because she cared. Money. Always money. She continued. The future in-laws are expecting something special. I said nothing. Then came the sentence that changed everything. Could you transfer $50,000? Just temporarily. 50,000. Temporarily. As if people casually borrowed $50,000. I almost laughed. Instead, I asked one question. Why doesn't Ryan pay for it? Silence. Then excuses. Many excuses. Too many excuses. And suddenly I understood. Ryan had spent years pretending to be successful. The wedding was exposing the truth. He couldn't afford the life he promised. And now they expected me to save him. Again. But this time, I was done. 4 words they never expected. I took a deep breath. My mother kept talking. Explaining. Justifying.
Begging.
But I wasn't listening anymore. I was remembering. Every forgotten birthday. Every insult. Every family dinner. Every moment I was treated like I didn't belong. Then I interrupted her. Mom. What? I calmly said 4 words. Ask your favorite child. Silence. Complete silence. For several seconds, she said nothing. Then she whispered. What? Ask your favorite child. Her voice immediately changed. Anger replaced sweetness. What is that supposed to mean? I laughed softly. It means Ryan can solve Ryan's problems. She exploded. Accusations. Guilt trips. Emotional manipulation. Everything. But none of it worked. Because for the first time in my life, I wasn't afraid of disappointing them. Eventually she hung up. And within minutes, the attacks began. Texts.
Calls.
Messages from relatives. Everyone suddenly remembered I existed. Funny how that works. Nobody calls when you're hurting, but everyone calls when they want money. The revenge without revenge. The next few months were fascinating. For years, my family relied on me, but they never noticed. Until I stopped helping. Suddenly bills went unpaid. Plans fell apart. Promises collapsed. Ryan couldn't maintain the image he had created. His future in-laws began asking questions. Questions he couldn't answer. The pressure grew. The lies grew bigger. And eventually, everything unraveled. Not because I exposed him. Because reality did. Meanwhile, I focused on myself. My business expanded. I hired new employees. Signed major contracts. Bought my dream home. And for the first time, I stopped chasing my family's approval. It felt strange. Then wonderful. Then freeing. I realized something powerful. The greatest revenge isn't making people suffer. It's becoming so successful that their opinions no longer matter. And that's exactly what happened. The wedding day collapse. 6 months later, the wedding arrived. I wasn't invited. Again, no surprise there. But 2 days before the ceremony, my cousin Sarah called. You won't believe what's happening.
What?
The wedding might be canceled. My eyes widened. Apparently, Ryan's future in-laws had discovered hidden debts. Large debts. Debts nobody knew about, including his fiancée. Questions turned into arguments. Arguments turned into investigations. Investigations uncovered more lies. And suddenly the perfect image disappeared. The wedding still happened.
But barely.
Half the guests knew something was wrong. The atmosphere was tense, awkward, embarrassing, and for the first time in his life, Ryan couldn't smile his way out of consequences. The truth had arrived, and truth never asks permission. Resolution. The day they came back. Nearly a year passed. Then one afternoon, someone knocked on my door. I opened it. Mom and Dad stood there. Older, tired, different. For a moment nobody spoke. Then my mother started crying. Real crying. Not manipulation. Not acting. Regret. Finally, she looked around my home, my successful business, my life, and whispered something I never expected to hear. We were wrong. Those 3 words carried decades of weight. Dad nodded. We took you for granted. I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to celebrate. Part of me wanted to scream. But mostly, I felt calm, because I no longer needed those words. I had already healed. They apologized. I accepted. But forgiveness isn't the same as forgetting. Trust takes years to build.
Seconds to break.
And sometimes, a lifetime to repair. Today, our relationship is better. Not perfect, but better. Because boundaries finally exist. Respect finally exists. And, most importantly, I finally exist. Not as Ryan's sister. Not as the family backup plan. Not as the invisible child. But as myself. And that's worth more than any inheritance, any wedding invitation, or any amount of money. So, if you're watching this and feel overlooked, remember this. People who don't value you while you're available often realize your worth when you're gone. Don't spend your life begging for a seat at someone else's table. Build your own table. And one day, the people who ignored you will wonder how they ever thought they could live without you. The lesson? Never confuse love with access. The people who truly love you don't only call when they need something. And the greatest form of justice is living a life so full, so successful, and so peaceful that the people who hurt you become nothing more than a chapter in your story.
End.